Now, you guys are at this video right now because you're wondering about running twice a day. Maybe you're already doing it and you're wondering if it's safe, or you're about to start doing it and you want to know all of the pros and cons, things to look out for. I'm going to cover all of that right now. Some of you guys might be in the category of, in high school or a college program, you're being asked to train multiple times a day. So running a couple miles in the morning and then going to a team practice in the afternoon, you're expected to be primed for both, do your best at both. Maybe you are training for your first distance race ever. Maybe your first half marathon, your first marathon, and you're getting in those long runs, but you don't have a daily schedule that allows you the couple of hours you need to get those in. So you're splitting your run into two. Or maybe you are training for your first ultramarathon. You are going to be tackling that big distance at 50K, 100K, whatever it is, and you need time on legs. And that is going to be what we're covering today. How do you manage that and take care of your body, take responsibility for what you're doing? The first thing I want to say is that I don't recommend, from a personal standpoint, running twice a day, every single day, no breaks. I believe in a well-rounded training program. That's going to be strength training included. Your running, of course, your mobility and injury prevention are a top priority. We'll get into that more, but all of these things are a well-rounded plan. So I'm specifically talking about on the days that you are running twice a day, here are the things to consider. Now, the general understanding of something is that the more you do it, the better you will be at it. And this applies to running, of course. However, if you are running well, you're getting way more out of it. So quality over quantity. If you have to break up your long run to ensure that you're running well, you're using those proper mechanics, and you're preserving your body in a nice and efficient way that you move, you will be so much better off. So rather than making that long run, just doing whatever it takes to get through the miles, regardless of how your run form looks, split it up. Those two runs can be so key in doing that, and they can ensure that you're actually taking care of your body and not forcing things. Another benefit to running twice a day would be working out on tired legs. So at the same time, yes, you're splitting it up, but you have done that workout prior, you have run before earlier that day. So now you're having to do it when you don't feel fresh and ready. That is mimicking exactly what the end or second half of a race is going to feel like. So it gets you practicing that mental aspect, as well as, of course, bringing those mechanics in, running really nice and tall and strong so that you don't lose that at the end of the race. The final thing I will say as a physical benefit to running twice a day is you don't have to go out for this long expedition. What I mean by that is you don't have to bring all the fuel and all the water and all the electrolytes that we'll get into more with you for that long thing. If you are breaking it up into two, you'll have time in the middle of your two workouts to use a regular bathroom, get your proper meals in, make sure you get that recovery in between, and you'll be able to kind of not have to make this big event out of every long run. So I mentioned the value behind that run form and making sure that it's really well kept all through both runs. What do I mean by that? Here's the thing, the inefficiencies you have, the small little habits that you have in your running that don't lend themselves to good running become magnified with higher volume. So you're now running twice a day, any opportunity for injury just becomes increased right there. So you want to give yourself the best shot at not getting injured. Several ways to do this, but here's top three. The first one is going to be do not skimp on the warm up and cool down. I can't stress that enough. Just because you're running twice doesn't mean you can skip the cool down on that first run, doesn't mean you can skip the warm up on that second run. Those things are vital. You've asked yourself to do 2 pieces of work that day, treat it as such. I'm not saying to spend 15 minutes on either end of each workout working on your body, but I'm saying that it is important to treat each run as just an individual run. For warm up and cool down ideas, as well as general mobility to take care of your bodies, we have tons of ideas on the channel. I'm going to share a playlist at the end of this video with you guys that'll give you everything you need to know there, but we're going to move on. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is strength. This is super important to maintaining that run form as well. Today, I'm going to get specific just about those legs, even though there's a whole chain of events that happen when you run. Those legs we want to take care of. So I'm going to show you guys a great routine you can use for building that single leg stability and strength, because at the end of the day, running is just moving and transferring from one leg to another. You're only as strong as that individual leg. When it comes down each time, your body weight comes down onto it. How are you landing, and are you able to maintain something good for the whole run? This single leg routine is just 3 movements. I'm just going to break those down for you guys right now, and then you can try it for yourself. The first movement is going to be a split squat. So all you do, I'm gonna use this bench here, but something raised off the ground, maybe a foot, a little more than that, and you're just gonna kick that back leg up, and I'm just gonna first find my balance on that left leg. Hips are forward, I'm squeezing the butt, and then my abs are in, so I'm just pulling that belly button into the spine, relaxing the shoulders. I'm not gonna have a ton of weight on this back foot, but I am gonna use it to feel where my hips are in space. If I didn't have that foot up on anything, I wouldn't really feel when I was twisting. So all I'm gonna do is kick that back foot up, find my balance here. I like to keep my arms out in front to feel stable, and I'm gonna reach these hips back like I would on a normal squat, coming down. So most of my weight is on that left heel. Again, I'm pressing a little bit into this back leg, but not too much. Most of it is on the left, and I'm gonna stand up, squeeze the butt tall. Just like this, and stand up. So I'm lowering myself, I'm leaning forward, but that's just so I can get the hips back, because what I don't want is pushing the knee past the toe. At that point, I'm loading up that joint, and I'm also just working the quad way more than this is intended to do. So right here, just that single leg squat, you're gonna do 10 of those on each leg. Another trick you can use too, to make sure you're going low enough, leaving the arms down. Sometimes I'll do that to challenge myself to get really low and tap the ground with my fingers each time. 10 each side. Next, you're going into a single leg burpee. Don't be alarmed. It's very much like a normal burpee, but you're just having to be a little bit more aware of your body in space. So again, I'm gonna start on that single leg. I'm gonna reach those hips back, belly button in tight, touch the ground here, and I'm gonna shoot that left leg back, leaving the right leg off. I'm squeezing the butt here, so it's almost like the leg's on the ground with it, but I'm gonna leave it off, and all I'm gonna do is snake my chest up, press off, snap that left foot in, and push the hips, jump and top, clap at the top. Now the thing to be careful of with this one is that foot really wants to turn out for people with tight hips, so you'll see you jump forward, you get a really close magnified look at what's going on in those individual legs on this one. So you wanna keep those toes straight forward each time. Take these super slow. I'm just asking that you do 10 alternated. So you're just gonna keep switching legs here, squeezing the butt at the bottom, snapping the hips forward, and here you'll notice you're in a mini squat going down and coming back. Final thing you're gonna do is work laterally on those single legs. So all I'm gonna do is starting on one, I'm gonna find myself jumping to the other foot, staying low. I'm not going high on this one, I'm just going low. Trying to catch my balance here, and just like this. This one's pretty simple, but it gives you an understanding of where you like to land. So when I come to the side, if I find myself always leaning this way, maybe I have a tight inner thigh, my adductor is overtaking here, maybe I have a weak glute, maybe I'm not able to land and sustain my weight there. So you are doing 10 each leg of the split squats, 10 alternated single leg burpees, switching legs each time, and then you're gonna do 20 total of that lateral jump. Each one counts as one. 3 rounds total of this. Take it nice and slow. This is for mechanics. Rest when you need to. Now let's chat about some practical lifestyle things to consider that are just as important as the training itself. Having a little mascot head-to-head right now with the dogs. That fueling and hydration is super, super important if you're doubling up that training. And what I mean by that is now these are pieces that don't just fall around the training, they actually are a huge part of how you're stacking up that day. After you do that first workout, that first run, obviously it's very important to finish it up with that meal of choice, make sure you're recovering that body how you need to, but you can't eat too much too close to that second run. So we need to kind of figure out that balance, and for everybody it's different. Smaller meals in between throughout the day might be the way to go, or if you're having that big meal after that first run, maybe something lighter before the second, so you actually, and getting that dinner after the second run, so that you can feel like yourself, you're not being weighed down by anything you're putting in your body. Like I said before, you're also increasing that training volume, so of course, if you need to bring fuel along for that run, if you're running an hour plus, you're gonna wanna have stuff with you, whether it's gels or your homemade snacks. Those are things you wanna try out. We do have tons of ideas on the channel as well. As far as hydration goes, getting in plenty of water is very important, but it's not the only thing, especially if you're now sweating at volume twice a day. Electrolytes are going to be lost more than you are used to. So I highly recommend supplementing those with either a capsule. This is Sport Legs. This is just a combination of electrolytes. You have sodium in there. This prevents muscle cramping, which is just a result of dehydration. We don't want that to happen, but you're replacing those electrolytes. Another favorite of mine is actually the base electrolyte salt, which just comes in a little chapstick sized tube. I'll link it down below for you guys. You just lick your finger, shake it on the bottle, take the salt off, you're on your way. That's a really good one for during the workout itself. Now, sleep. This is already super important, as you know, as a runner in general, but now you're asking again yourself to do more. You have to acknowledge that. The smartest thing you can do is treat your body like you are doubling up on your training, because you are. So that quality of sleep is very important. Obviously, the earlier bedtimes really help you out, especially if you have to get up early. But naps are super valuable, and they're actually going to be the key to getting through this double training, especially at the beginning. There is so much that can happen, even in a 15 to 20 minute nap. Just getting horizontal, getting the blood flow kind of out of those legs, especially if you work a job that is on, like you're standing all the time, you're already walking around a bunch. Just getting horizontal for a little bit can kind of reboot, reset the system, and mentally for that second workout. So don't underestimate the nap, especially on those double days. Now let's talk shoes. What you put on your feet has a big impact on the way you run and how your runs feel. So what I recommend is rotating through a couple pairs of shoes through your training, especially if you are running twice a day. Shoes have so many things to consider, especially running shoes. You can talk about the amount of cushioning, the stack height, the height at the front of the shoe, the back of the shoe, what it's made out of, so many different things to consider. But I recommend picking at least 2 pairs of shoes that are different from one another. And that is because we wouldn't run the same route every time that we run, right? So it's no different with the shoes, because they do impact our bodies in that way. If I spent all of my time in a super cushioned shoe, I might be inclined to get a little lazy with my footing, because they might blunt some of the feeling or impact I'm getting from the ground, especially on the road. What I want to do is alternate with something with a little less cushioning, lower drop here, so lower to the ground. I can feel my foot hitting, and I can feel what it's doing to the rest of my body, so I take more responsibility for my mechanics in that way. I'm also not getting used to one or the other, so come race day, no matter what the terrain or course is like, I know my body well enough to address it. Now, we covered how to run twice a day well, how to take care of that body and do it in a smart way, but there's one last important thing, and probably the most big takeaway that I want you guys to take from this video, and that is laundry. It is no joke, guys. You're now running twice a day. You're doubling up that training. The laundry basket's gonna be piled high at the end of the week. You have a couple options of how you wanna tackle this. For me personally, I use it as an excuse to go pick out more fun workout clothes. I'm celebrating the fact that I'm upping the training, and I just deal with that basket of laundry at the end of the week. If you're Coach Nate, don't tell him I told you guys this. He will lay his clothes from the first run out, let them dry, and simply put them back on for his second run, which makes for less of a laundry problem at the end of the week. So honestly, I'm gonna turn my head the other way, do what you guys need to do, whatever works for you. Now, if you guys need more on how to run properly for distance, those warm-up, cool-down ideas, how to properly work those mechanics for running, click right above on the How to Run Properly for Distance playlist. We've got everything in there for you. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I don't know why